Alright folks, buckle up, because tonight we're diving headfirst into uncharted theological waters. We're talking about Jesus, the OG influencer, and a question that's probably never crossed your mind. Was he, wait for it, transgender? Now before you clutch your pearls or hurl your holy water at the screen, hear me out. We're not talking about throwing shade on anyone's beliefs here. This is about exploring the fascinating and, let's face it, often hilarious ways history gets twisted like a pretzel over a couple of millennia. Because let's be real, the image of Jesus we're all used to, flowing robes, sandals, beard that could house a family of sparrows, that's more Renaissance painting than historical accuracy. We don't even know what the guy actually looked like. For all we know, he could have been rocking a man bun and skinny jeans under those robes. Now I know what you're thinking. John, you lovable limey scamp, you're losing it. Jesus' dad was, God. Immaculate conception and all that jazz. And you'd be right, but here's where things get scientifically spicy. See, biologically speaking, you need a Y chromosome from dear old dad to be assigned male at birth. But hold on to your halos, because according to the whole virgin birth thing, there was no paternal DNA involved, which means technically Jesus, at least genetically speaking, would have been rocking 2 X chromosomes, like, ladies tend to do. Now, before you start picturing Jesus in a power suit and heels leading the disciples on a wine-fueled shopping spree, let's remember that biology is a messy, complicated beast. There's a whole spectrum of gender identity that goes way beyond what's on your birth certificate. So, how did we go from potentially 2 X chromosomes to the bearded, long-haired figure we see in every church painting? Well, for starters, there's a good chance those paintings are about as accurate as a game of historical telephone played by a bunch of sleep-deprived monks. Remember, back in the day, there wasn't exactly a thriving portrait industry. And even if there was, I doubt Jesus was all about that selfie life. Forgive them, Father, for they know not how to use the portrait mode. Plus, let's not forget the cultural context. Back then, long hair and robes weren't exactly breaking gender norms. Heck, even the most macho Roman generals were rocking togas that could give a Kardashian a run for their money. The truth is, we know surprisingly little about Jesus' life outside of what's written in the Bible, which, let's be honest, is about as unbiased as a Fox News report on climate change. And even then, the Bible's not exactly a detailed biography. It's more like a greatest hits album with a few parables thrown in for good measure. Did Jesus have a killer falsetto? Was he a whiz at charades? We may never know. And that's before we even get started on the whole translation issue. Trying to decipher ancient Aramaic is like trying to order a pizza in Klingon. You might get the gist of it, but there's a good chance you'll end up with anchovies instead of pepperoni. So after all that, where do we land on the whole Jesus being transgender thing? Honestly, folks, it's impossible to say for sure. And in the end, does it really matter? Whether Jesus was rocking 2 X chromosomes or a full set of XYs doesn't change the message of love, compassion, and turning the other cheek that he or his followers preached. Besides, if there's one thing I think we can all agree on, it's that the world could use a little more love and compassion right now. and maybe a few less anchovies. We'll be right back.